Hi, this is Dr. Dave, and in this video I want to show you how to work with Google Slides to create your infographic for the project. What you see in front of you is a Google Slides window, and it's a lot like PowerPoint. If you've ever used PowerPoint, it works very similarly, and in the fact that you have several slides and you can use these slides to present things. For our purpose, we're going to use one single slide, which I've provided for you in your shared folder. That file, if you look for the gold icon that kind of looks like this, that will be the file that you want to look at. So what I've got here is a very basic infographic that I want to kind of run through some of the things that you could put in. My expectations is for the rough draft, you're going to have something similar to this, and then for the final draft, you're going to improve upon it. Because if all you do is have something that looks like this, that's pretty average. You'll end up with a C. But if you want to do better than that, you need to improve upon what's here. So the first thing, let's learn a little navigation here. If I go up to this little magnifying glass and click on that, I can go ahead and zoom in on this. If I'm using the left mouse button, that will zoom in. If I use the right mouse button, that will zoom out. So let's use that zooming feature to take a look at what's on here. So let me zoom in on the top. So I'm going to left mouse click so we can see that a little better. And I can also kind of center it a little bit, and if I need to, I can use the scroll bar over here to go up and down. So the first thing that you're going to need to make sure you have on here is you need a title on here. And so along the top, I've put some title in here. It's if you get a refund, how likely it is that your return will be examined. Your title does not need to be like this. You need to come up with something that works for you. Underneath it, I've put a little bit of text, and this is text that's needed for everything else to make sense here. In this case, we're talking about tax returns that are examined and tax returns that receive a refund. So I'm telling the reader that E and R here correspond to examined and refund. If we don't put that down there, they may not understand what E and R is. Remember, your audience is not necessarily me, but a much wider audience. So we need to explain what's going on. Underneath this, you'll see a table, and this looks very, very similar to what you've been doing in your technology assignments. The table is all filled out. You do not need a table for each and every one of the years that your team looked at. Pick one of the years that your team looked at, not the one that I did, this 2000, but one of the ones you did. Put in all the entries here, and then notice that I've put some text here with some arrows to explain what these different things are. So this 37,079 is the total number of examined with refund tax returns. So that means they were examined and they received a refund. Down here I had the 94,727,815. That was the total number of refunds. So to put these things in, I'm going to need to put the text in and also to put the arrows in. If I scroll down a little bit farther, you see that I've created a formula here for calculating out the probability that I want. In this case, I was looking for the probability of examined given that there was a refund. And then I show the formula here and the numbers that I use. Below that is another table, and in that table I'm really putting in the information that we need to answer the question in the project. I have all the years we're looking at, the year that I did, and all the years perhaps that you're doing. Your years will probably be different from this, but it depends on your team. Some teams are doing things closer to 2000, some are doing things closer to 2015. So basically what I need to show you how to do is how to create tables, how to put in text, and how to put in arrows, and then maybe how to format that text so it's in different colors. So let me go ahead and go back to our original Google Sheet, which is right here, and show you how to take what we have here and get it into a blank Google slide. Here's our original table. I'm going to go ahead and click on cell A1, and while holding down the left mouse button, I'm going to drag over to D4, and when that shades that, that tells me that all of those things are selected. I can go up to Edit and say Copy, or I could right click on here and say Copy. Either one will work. So I've just copied the table here, and now I'm going to go over to my Google Slides file, and this is a blank one. This is what yours is going to look like originally, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. So I'm going to go up and say Edit, Paste. So there is that table. It's kind of small, and it's not quite where I want it. So if it's selected here, I can go ahead and drag it down to where I want it. And you can see that when I get that little red line, that tells me it's centered. And I can also go up to the edges and make it larger. So I'm just dragging things. So that's a pretty good size, but notice that that text, let's zoom in on that, so let's hit our zoom button, is really, really tiny. The idea here is on these posters, we're going to want to be able to read these things. So I'm in the zoom mode right now. I'm going to go over to the select mode. So I'm going to click on that arrow, and I'm going to click on the 2000. And if I look at this right up here, that 10 says that's the font size. That's a way small font. So let me click here. I'm going to drag everything over here, and I'm going to put a bigger font in there. Either 14 or 18 is probably a good size for someone to be able to see this. That's not bad. All right, so the nice thing about this is it copied over all our colors and things like that. A little bit later on, when I create the second table, I'm going to go ahead and create the table from scratch inside of Google Slides. However, one thing that happened was we lost our borders on this. If I go up to the right-hand corner here and select that button right there, that's going to go ahead and put the borders in here. Now I'm going to go up and say line weight of 2 pixels. And I'm going to go up here. It's got it in black, but I could select a different color if I want. I'm pretty happy with black. So now let me click outside of this, and that's a pretty good looking table right now. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's going to kind of be the center point of this infographic. If I go up to the top now, let me go ahead and show you how to put some text in here so you see how to put your title in. So this button right here with the T on it is a text box. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to click on the left mouse button, and while holding it, I'm going to drag. And now I can go ahead and start typing in my text. I'm not going to type the whole thing in here because I don't want to take up all that time. But you can see there's the text. It is in a 14-point font. You probably want the title to be a little bit bigger, so I can select it and go up here and make it larger. I can also go over here and change the text color. Make it in blue, something like that. Always keep in mind your audience. They're going to be looking at this, and you don't want to have anything incredibly obnoxious in there that's going to be hard to read. All right, so we've got some text in there, and that other text box that I had below, I could type that in the same way. So now we do that. Let's come down and let's see how we can go ahead and put those arrows in. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to explain what this is. This was the total number of tax returns. So I'm going to take my text box, put one in down here, type total number of tax returns. And let's see, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller and see if I can't get it to wrap a little bit nicer. That's not bad. Now this was one of my red numbers that I was given, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click and drag select this text, and then I'm going to go up and put that in red. So it kind of matches up. So I've got the label on there. Now I need the arrow. And to get the arrow, I'm going to go up to where I see this line right here. Select on the little box next to it, and I can see, there's arrow. Click there, come down below. Now I can put an arrow in here. I can go ahead and change the color of that arrow right here. So it's in red, and I can make the size a little bit bigger, 2 pixels. And so now I've got a visual representation there of exactly what's in that particular cell. You'll want to do the same thing for these other cells in here. Certainly the numbers that were given to you, and then some of the numbers on here that were calculated. So that's going to be a little bit of work because there's a lot of different things up there. Now I'm going to go down here below. I'm going to show you how to put in a table just within Google Slides, not copying and pasting it from Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to say Insert and then Table. Go over here and let's see. Let's say I have, I need 5 rows and 3 columns. Release that. And it's going to go ahead and put that in there. However, the problem is I can't see it because it put it somewhere else on the screen. So let me zoom out a little bit. And it looks like it put it right behind there. Let's see if I can get that. There it is. Drag it down to here. And now I've got my table started. Let me zoom back in on that again so we can play with it a little bit. Now, some of the things you can do in here is to change the size of these things, and to do that we're going to need to have this select mode here. So I could come over here, get right on the top, and I can make that smaller. I can also grab the sides of it and make the whole thing smaller. So by grabbing these different lines in here, I can move them around how I like them, and then I can also move the entire table around. So I'll want to make sure I put labels on here. So maybe this is 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. And up here, this would probably be a good place to put the labels for the probabilities you're finding. So something like P, parentheses, E, and then a vertical bar, that's on your keyboard, space R, and the parentheses. And I could do similar things over here. Notice that all of these are left justified. If you want them centered, you just need to select things and then go right up to here and take the alignment and make it centered. So you can go ahead and fill in all of these things. Remember, each member of your team was doing one of these years, so this allows you to go ahead and fill in exactly what each member of your team did. Go up here. Let's zoom out a little bit, see how things are looking. Oh, one of the things I know, see how there's this black border here? Oh, this isn't got the black border, so let's put that in. So I'm going to go up to my select. I'm going to select the whole thing, go up to here, and fill it in. And again, I had a 2 pixel border on it, so I'm going to fix that. And I'm going to make sure it comes out in black. So now that looks pretty good and matches up with the other one. Zoom back out, select. Now I'm going to put this whole thing a little bit farther down. And what's nice is notice when you get that red line, that's kind of telling you that it's centered. So the part in here that had the formula, that was just simply a whole bunch of other text box. But really what I'm expecting from you is to have a table that has the probabilities that your team members calculated that meet the questions on the project letter. I'm going to expect to see one of your tables in here. You don't need all the years, you just need 1 year, and then use that to explain the process. We're focusing on the process in the body of this. Down in below, you're going to show all the results your team had, and then you can use this to help you answer the question about, as time went on, how have things changed? So you're going to be doing tables, you're going to be doing text boxes and arrows, you're going to be formatting those things in different colors and filling this out till eventually you get something similar to this. You do not have to have exactly the same thing here. I expect that you're eventually going to make it better. But for now, all I'm looking for the rough draft is you to get the things that you've done over to here, for the final draft, we'll make it look pretty, we'll add some labels and things like that. But if you have all of these elements on there, that'll allow me to go through and check to make sure that all your numbers seem reasonable and that you haven't made any mistakes. Then we can go and make things look pretty. All right, so that is what I expect on the rough draft. These are the tools. Some of you may want to try some different things. One of the things you can do is to create several slides in here. If you want to create a blank slide, you can go up to this plus button, click that. It'll put a blank slide that you can play with. Or if you want to take where you're at here and go ahead and duplicate this and then make changes to it, if you right click on that and say duplicate slide, it'll make another slide down here below that you can then go ahead and work on without changing the original one. One of the things that I ask that you do when you're done with your rough draft, go up, you can move whichever one, you can move these things around. But what I want is the very slide that's at the very top is the rough draft that you want me to grade. And in fact, down here in the notes, you could say rough draft, so I know exactly which one to look at. So get to work, and I'll be taking a look at that after you turn in that rough draft, giving you some feedback, and then you can start working on your final version.